Howdy, and welcome to our first YouTube video for celebrating vintage model kits. This is our first subject, the Aurora series from the famous fighter series, Republic F-105 Thunderchief, with box cover artwork by Joe Catula. This one was produced initially in 1958. Had a couple of reissues shortly thereafter, and then disappeared from the market after that. So today what we're going to do is take a look at the original box and the contents of it. So as you see on the cover, we have F-105 taken off, one already up in the sky, dark clouds, ominous background. The F-105 is about ready to go out and take on some foreign adversary and defend America. So here we see on the side, the artwork wraps around. This is one of the old hard box with the wraparound lithograph sheets. Here we have a continuation of the sky with, again, Republic Thunderchief across there. There's our copyright date, 1958. Made in USA, and litho is also made in the USA, and this is from when Aurora was at West Hempstead in New York, Long Island, New York. Here's the end with a repeat of the box cover on the end. It's kit number 123. For those of you who are unfamiliar, the coding on a lot of these kits would have, the kit number, then there'd be a dash or a dot or something, and then there'd be another number, in this case 89, which represented that this kit was an 89-cent kit back in the day, 1958. Here's the other end. And you can see right here the edge of where the litho paper was wrapped around. Here's a little bit of a little flaking off. And then when you look inside, you can see how the litho paper wrapped around the hard box. So each one of these had to be, hand done. Very painstaking. This, lasted for a few years, and then was replaced with cardboard that was actually printed with the image directly to the cardboard. Saved a lot of time, saved a lot of money. So let's get into this kit. So again, it's the Aurora F-105 Thunderchief. Let's move this out of the way here. And inside, this is a fairly pristine kit in its original form. We have a few sprues, so we'll take these out. Got a body, another fuselage piece. Here's your wings. And the stand, the famous Aurora, with the globe part of the Western Hemisphere on their stand. Original decal sheet, which surprisingly has not yellowed very much. And so we'll get to the instruction sheets. It's a fairly large instruction sheet, kind of hard to get the whole thing into the camera here. But it gave a fairly straightforward assembly guide with exploded views. It's all hand drawn. On the end there was a little fact sheet section about the F-105. Again, more information about the company and where to write to if you're going to be writing to them. And then on the back side, you have the great listing of all the other kits that were available. Like in here, there's a set of whirlybirds, famous tanks they were promoting. And then here's, the whole range of aircraft and everything else that they were making at the time. So this is a very good condition sheet. You can see the original color here versus, where it's kind of faded a little bit, discolored over time. So that's the instruction set. those aside. Now we'll look at the decal sheet. Fairly simple. My understanding is that this was a representation of one of the original Y-series aircraft. And so they took it straight from photographs of it and developed the decal set to match that photograph. So let's look at what we got inside the box itself. So we'll start out with the fuselage halves and the side there. And so at the time, the typical way of molding these was for very minimal amount of panel lines. Most cases, the panel lines were raised. But the first thing that stands out on most of these old vintage kits is the markings being molded into the aircraft or to the model subject. And this served a couple of purposes. One is that you could know exactly where to place your decals on there for making it simple. But another thing you could do, because it had the raised edges, is if you had a really steady hand, you could actually hand paint the markings into the onto the surface. So with this kit, the shape is somewhat suspect. It's not the most accurate model. Supposedly Aurora wanted to be the first to market with whatever the new hot aircraft or new hot item was, and so their accuracy was sometimes questionable. But what they did do that you can see on here is they did capture the Coke bottle shape that allowed this entry series fighters to slip through Mach 1 and sometimes get all the way up into, some of them get into the Mach 2 range. So they did capture that, but as you can see, it's a fairly smooth surface with minimal amount of panel lines. There is some recessed stuff for the Bombay, which isn't very accurate, but it's nice clean. But it's in this nice silver plastic, which allowed it for a kid to not have to paint the whole thing. You could just leave it in the original molded plastic, or the color of the plastic, and still come out with a pretty good looking kit. So now let's move on to the wing parts. So we have a top wing right, left, and the bottom right, left. And again, you can see very minimal amount of surface detailing. In this case, it's all inscribed, so it's very heavy, deep lines for the flaps, for the ailerons, and again, you can see the printed or the molded in markings on there. There are some holes on the bottom of the wing for the supplied armament, which wasn't the most accurate in the world. But you can take some of these and kind of fit them together, dry fit, and see, the fit wasn't too bad, for what it was during the day. So if you did pretty good with your glue, you get a pretty decent assembly here without much of a gap needing sanding or filling. Then you also have, here's the stand. We can look at the stand. So this was a typical Aurora stand, having the Western Hemisphere on here. And it's a two-piece, you put that in there. And this would slot into the bottom of the fuselage. Something that most manufacturers don't make stands today. So you also got what I believe is supposed to be a drop tank that would fit. So there's the nose piece, or one of nose or tailpiece, and for the front and back of the drop tank. Here's the tail planes. There again, little bit of raised paneling on the front, and then very deep grooves for the control surfaces. So I'll set those aside. And you got 4 of these rockets in the kit as well. Typical of these 50s rockets. They're not, you know, it's almost impossible for these to launch the way these are molded, where it's, you know, the fins are up and down. They're in a, you know, a cross instead of an X. When it's a cross, of course, then the tail fins are going to hit the mountings, so these things wouldn't launch. But the way the moldings were done, it was extremely difficult for them to mold these rockets in an X shape. So more often than not, when you see the rockets on these old kits, they're molded in that cross shape. And so you get 4 of those, which I do not believe anything like this was fitted on the under wings of a Thunderchief. Here you have the exhaust tail cone. Kind of doesn't depict the Thunderchief, you know, where the tail exhaust would butterfly open. Here's your canopy. Really, really poor. You can see the how thick the plastic is on this thing. Extremely thick. Not very well molded. You can't really see through it all that well. And there's a huge, giant ejector pin mark right in the middle. And so, not the best canopy. You know, it does have the framing on there, but it's really, really soft. Really soft framing on there. But, you know, at least it was a clear part. Some of these real early kits didn't even have the clear parts. They would, you'd have to paint, you know, black or silver or something over it. So here's some additional parts for the gear doors. Here's one of the other main wheels that did come off the sprue. Got some additional gear parts here as well. The front landing gears, some gear doors. I believe this is an antenna of some sort. And a giant pitot probe. This was, again, I believe taken from photographs of some of the prototype aircraft. And, of course, the squadron service aircraft didn't have these, you know, probably 4 or 5 foot long pitot probes that the test aircraft did. And then you do get a little pilot. He's a itty bitty little tiny guy, but it is a real pilot. So that's about it. There's one other part in here, which I'm not quite sure what this part is. Looks like maybe some other kind of sensor or probe on it. So that's it. That is the Aurora Famous Fighter Series F-105 Thunderchief by Republic. So thank you for watching. Watch for some additional follow-up videos. We're going to be doing some inbox look at a lot of vintage kits, mainly aircraft, but we'll mix in a little bit of other stuff as well. But it's mainly going to be a lot of aircraft. So thanks for watching, and have yourself a great day.